I've done a lot of things to make ends meet. Warehouse shifts, night stock at a grocery store, plasma donation twice a week for about 4 months straight. But for a while, almost a year and a half, I drove for one of those food delivery apps. You know the ones. You pick up orders, you drop them off, you collect your pay. Simple. Mostly uneventful. Mostly. There are a few orders I still think about. Weird customer encounters, strange houses. One time, I accidentally walked into someone's garage instead of their front door and stood there in the dark for a solid 10 seconds before I realized where I was. But there's one delivery I never talk about. I've started telling this story a dozen times. To my roommate, to a coworker, once to a stranger at a gas station at 2 a.m. who I thought might understand. And every single time, I stop myself before I get to the part that matters. Tonight, I'm gonna finish it. I started driving for the app because my hours got cut at my day job. Nothing dramatic. My employer just quietly trimmed everyone's schedule and smiled through it. I needed to fill the gap. The app was easy enough. Download it, pass the background check, and you're out there within the week. I bought one of those magnetic phone mounts, stuck it on my dash, and by my third night, I had a system. I preferred late nights. After about 10 or 11 p.m., the orders got fewer, but the tips got better. People ordering food that late are usually either desperate or celebrating, and both of those types tend to tip well. Traffic died down, the roads cleared out. It was just me and the radio and the little glowing map on my phone telling me where to go. There was something almost peaceful about it, if I'm being honest. I'd cruise through neighborhoods that were completely still. Porch lights on timers, dogs sleeping behind fences, the occasional blue glow of a TV through a curtain. The whole world just paused. I liked being out there when everyone else was in. It felt like I had access to a version of the city nobody else was seeing. That feeling didn't last. It was a Tuesday, or maybe a Wednesday. The night shifts blurred together after a while. I remember it was late October, cold enough that I kept the heat on low, cold enough that my breath fogged when I stepped outside. I had just dropped off a pizza on the east side of town and was sitting in a parking lot waiting to see if anything else would come in. It was 11:47 p.m. when the order popped up. I almost didn't take it. The payout wasn't great, no tip listed, which isn't always a deal breaker. Sometimes people add it after delivery. But combined with how far out it was, something made me hesitate. I sat there for probably 15 seconds. Then I accepted it because 15 seconds of hesitation doesn't pay rent. The pickup was straightforward. A 24-hour Chinese place on the edge of town that I'd been to before. I got the food, it smelled fine, the bag was sealed. Normal. It was the drop-off address that was strange. I typed it into my GPS out of habit, even though the app had it loaded, and that's when I noticed there was no house number. The address was just a street name, Vellum Road, and beneath it in the delivery instructions field, 3 words, end of the road. I figured it was a formatting glitch. Addresses get garbled sometimes. People type their apartment number in the wrong field, or the app autocorrects something weird. It happens. Then I read the special instructions. Don't knock, just leave it at the door and go. Again, not that unusual on its own. Contactless delivery had been normal for years. People had dogs that barked, sleeping babies, whatever. But something about the combination, no real address, end of the road, and don't knock, sat wrong with me. I pulled out of the parking lot anyway. For the first 10 minutes, the drive was normal. I knew the general direction, out past the old fairgrounds, past the water treatment facility, into the part of the county that I'd driven through occasionally but never really spent time in. Lots of flat land out there, farms, the occasional cluster of houses set back from the road. I had the radio on low. I don't remember what was playing. Around the 12-minute mark, I noticed the houses getting farther apart. That happens gradually enough that you don't always catch it. One moment, there are neighborhoods with sidewalks and streetlights. Then the streetlights thin out. Then it's just a few houses with long driveways and mailboxes at the road. Then fields. My GPS was acting unusual. Not broken. It wasn't saying signal lost or anything like that. It was just recalculating over and over. Every 30 seconds or so, that little notification would pop up, recalculating route. I'd make the exact turn it told me to make, and then 30 seconds later, recalculating route. Like it couldn't decide if I was going the right way. The road I turned onto, Vellum Road, wasn't paved. It was hard-packed dirt and gravel, maybe wide enough for 1.5 cars. Trees on both sides, close enough that my headlights didn't reach through them. Just a pale corridor of light in front of me and black on either side. I slowed down. There were no houses visible, no mailboxes, no turnoffs, just the road going straight into the dark. I told myself I'd drive for 2 more minutes and then turn around if I didn't see anything. At the 1:40 mark, I saw a shape through the trees. It was a house, or it had been once. From the outside, it looked like it had been standing there for 50 or 60 years at minimum. The siding was the color of old bone, gray-white, and the porch sagged on the left side like something under it had given way. There was an overgrown lawn, if you could call it that, more like tall grass that just had decided to stop at a certain height. There were no cars in the driveway, no porch light, no visible numbers on the house. The only indication that anyone was home at all was a faint amber light coming from somewhere inside. Not a ceiling light, more like a lamp. One lamp somewhere in the back of the house, and its glow was just barely visible through a window on the right side of the structure. I sat in my car for a minute. I told myself I was just waiting to see if anyone came out, which was irrational. They'd told me not to knock. They weren't expecting me to signal my arrival. The truth is, I just didn't want to get out of the car. Eventually, I did. I grabbed the bag, left my car running, something I never did, but I did it that night, and walked up the path to the porch. The wood creaked under my feet. The air out there was different from the road outside, stiller, like the trees around the property were holding their breath. I got to the door, and that's when I realized it was already open. Not wide open, maybe 4 or 5 inches, just enough that I could see the darkness inside, which was a different kind of dark than the night outside, thicker somehow, like the interior of the house absorbed the light rather than just lacking it. I set the bag down. That was the job. Set the bag down, confirm the delivery on the app, and leave. I had the bag in my hand, and I leaned forward to place it on the threshold, and I stopped, because I heard something from inside. It was a voice, low, calm, clear. Not a TV. There was no background noise behind it, no laugh track, no ambient score, not a phone call, not a radio, just a voice speaking at a completely normal conversational volume directly from somewhere in that hallway. It said my name, my first name, clearly, correctly pronounced, and then nothing. I stood there. I want to tell you that I reacted quickly, that I was smart about it, that some survival instinct snapped me out of the freeze and got me moving, but I just stood there for what felt like a long time. The door didn't move, no footsteps from inside, no follow-up, just the one word, my name, hanging in that cold air like it was waiting for me to do something with it. My brain started running through explanations. Maybe the customer had looked up the driver's name in the app. The app did display your first name to the customer. Maybe they'd heard me pull up and they were calling out to me through the open door, just being casual, just being friendly. But the voice hadn't called out to me. That's what I kept coming back to. It wasn't raised. It wasn't directed at the door. It was quiet. Quiet in the way that you talk to someone who's standing right next to you. like whatever was inside that house thought I was already in there with it. I set the bag down, not carefully. I think I let it drop the last few inches, and I walked back to my car, fast but not running, because some part of me was terrified that running would trigger something. I don't know what, some rule I didn't understand about that place, about that night. I got in, locked the doors. I sat there for a second with both hands on the steering wheel, and I looked at the house through my windshield, and I promise you, in that one amber-lit window, there was a shadow, just a shape, standing very still, the way you stand when you're watching something. I put the car in reverse and got out of there. I drove back down Vellum Road faster than I should have on a dirt road in the dark. I didn't turn the radio on, just drove. When I got back to the main road, I pulled over under a streetlight and sat for a minute. My hands weren't shaking. I noticed that, and it bothered me somehow, that my body hadn't processed it yet, that I felt completely calm in a way that didn't feel right. I picked up my phone to confirm the delivery in the app. That's when I saw it. Or rather, that's when I saw the absence of it. The order was gone. Not marked complete, not pending, gone. No record in my history, no listing in my active orders, no notification. It was as if I had never accepted the order in the first place. I pulled up my earnings for the night. The order wasn't listed there either. I checked my call log to see if I'd accidentally called anyone from the road, just to orient myself in reality. Everything on my phone looked normal, but the app? Nothing. Completely clean. No trace of Vellum Road, no trace of the address, no trace of the customer. I have no way to prove any of this happened. No screenshot, because it hadn't occurred to me to take one. No record on the app's end, clearly. The restaurant would have a record of the order going out, but I was never going to walk back in there and start asking questions about an order I couldn't even prove existed anymore. I drove home. I didn't sleep much. In the morning, I looked up Vellum Road. It exists, I verified that much. It's a private road about 14 miles outside of town, and the county listing shows no structures on it, no houses, no addresses. I stopped doing late-night deliveries after that. I deleted the app eventually. I've thought about going back during the day just to see what's there, just to have some kind of concrete answer. And every single time I consider it, I think about that voice, how calm it was, how close it sounded, how it already knew my name before I ever reached that door. I don't go back. Some questions aren't worth the answer.